All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Stock Analysis Friday on this February 21st, 2025. Great to have everybody here. All right, so purpose of Stock Analysis Friday, just to recap, is for you to have me look up stocks of interest to you, whether you're thinking of going long or short, or maybe somebody is suggesting a stock to you and you want me to check it out. I do it from a technical standpoint, so I don't do it from a fundamental standpoint. And that, of course, is not a bad thing because that gives you a little different perspective on something. For example, if your broker calls you, they may be looking at the fundamentals and come here, bring it here, and we'll check on the technicals for you to see if it's a go. Also, too, when you type in your stocks in the comments area, please do that in caps so I can see it very clearly, and do about 3 at a time. You can always come back and do another 3. But also, too, let me know if you're long, short already, or if you're thinking about going long or short. That way I can kind of tailor the analysis to you. All right, so let me go through just a few quick administrational items here, and we'll get going. First thing I want to go over are the risks involved in trading. All right, so I want you to use this as educational purposes. I'm not a financial advisor or anything like that. I've been doing this for over 30 years, so I'm pretty good in the technicals. I developed a software suite and have written several books as well. But nonetheless, anything that we recommend here, or if I say something looks really good, run it by your financial advisor or whoever manages your money, just to be sure it's suitable for you. I don't know your personal situation. They certainly should. Also, too, with trading or even investing, anytime you go into one of those, you're taking on risk. All right. So always do it with money you can afford to risk, called risk capital. And also, too, calculate your risk on each entry. So if you make an investment or you take a trade, know what your risk is when you go in terms of how much you could possibly lose if that trade doesn't go the way you think it should. All right. And I have a couple of books on how to do that, where to set stops and things like that. And then finally, past performance in the markets does not guarantee future performance. So please realize that we work in a realm of probabilities. It's not certainties. So that's kind of important to know as well. All right, here are the books I've mentioned before. Books on money management is a great place to start if you need help in that area, or if you're new to trading. I always recommend money management first. That's kind of like putting the seatbelt on before you get it, before you start driving the car, right? So same thing with money management in terms of trading and investing. I got a book on Elliott wave techniques, which is a form of technical analysis I use. Survival Guide for Traders is how to run your trading or investment business like a real business, kind of like a hedge fund. And then my newest book, just out last month, second edition of The Art of Trading. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think it's probably the best book I've written to date. It's a pretty big book. It's about 608 pages. I think they have it on sale right now because it was just released at Amazon. So I'll put some links up below on that on the recording, or you can just go to Amazon, type my name in, Bennett McDowell, and the book will come up, or just go to our website. And I think there's a link under books there. All right, so that book there basically replaces the first edition of The Art of Trading, which came out in 2008. So we were due for a second edition, and it's got all the latest market information, as well as information even on our software, because we have created some additional software since the first edition. All right, so you can check those out when you're ready, and we'll put the link up there, of course. All right, here's the software suite that we use. We use the charting software at the top called the Applied Reality Trading System, or ART. We have confirmation indicators at the bottom that help us determine the strength of a signal, and that's the OWL, PTF, TLM, and ERI. We have scanners for those stock traders that are trying to find that needle in the haystack. Those scanners do a great job with that. And then we have risk control software at the bottom, which you have to use on each and every trade. So we try to cover all the bases and leave no rock unturned, so to speak. All right, and like every YouTuber out there, I don't really consider myself a YouTuber, but all right, every YouTuber out there always says like, subscribe, share. So definitely give us a like And I guess that helps things along. All right, I want to go into first, we're kind of combining a little bit of market analysis with the actual looking up stocks that you want to look at. And so this is a chart that I produced last Sunday on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. We have a service for this called the Market Opportunity Report, which is a weekly update, detailed weekly update on the Dow, the NASDAQ, and the S&P, as well as we uncover significant stocks that are looking good for that particular week for a different, short-term and also long-term trade stocks. So that's a more specific service. If you're interested in keeping up with the markets, I strongly suggest that service, and I will put a link at the bottom of the recording for that. So if you're already watching the recording, you can just look below. All right, so what do we got cooking here? Well, we've got the Dow Jones here with some significant information on it. And I just want to go over this really quickly. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but basically, in terms of an Elliott wave count, this bull run that we've been in really goes back to about 2009. So this bull run really hasn't had any major super pullbacks since then. Yeah, we've had a pause. Yes, we had some things come up. We had COVID and things like that, but then it recovered real quickly. So it's been a very bullish market. And honestly, all right, trees don't grow to the sky forever, and either do trends in the market. So this is an overextended trend up, and highly unusual to have a bull market that's lasted this long. All right, I think the Fed has helped it by pumping in money, of course. Really, we should have had a correction, I think, about 3 years ago, but the Fed just kept pumping money into the market and kept the market alive, so to speak. So here we are. What's it going to do next is the next major question. Well, currently, we're still technically in a bull market. All right, it hasn't pulled back enough to say with any certainty that the bull run is over. But I want to bring your attention to this here, which says a wave 5 target zone reached. Now, that's an Elliott wave 5 target zone based on data all the way back 2009 and even a little before. Okay, so that is telling us that we are in a significant zone, so to speak, that I just put the little blue square up, and that's called the wave 5 target zone. So when we get to these particular areas here, we have to start looking for a bear market to emerge. So we're kind of keeping our eyes on that, okay? So keep that in mind, and we'll see when the market deteriorates. And how are we going to know that? Well, one is, notice I drew a little pennant here. We've got trend lines here. So I kind of keep an eye on what the market's doing short term. And then longer term, we have support levels here that we're keeping an eye on too. So really the bottom line is, as long as we stay above this support level, short-term support level here, we kind of consider this a bull market. We have some shorter term things we're watching, like the pennant I said before, and the trend line. But really the important spot is that support level. And these levels can change as the market either goes higher or starts to come down. Do we have a double top here? Possible. Okay, so I marked that there. Doesn't mean it is, but things have to deteriorate further for that to become more obvious. And then we have some support levels down here that have, of course, additional significance. So if you like this kind of information, and I go into it more detailed in the Market Opportunity Report, you certainly can tune in for that. All right, so that's kind of, where we are now. We're still technically in an uptrend and in a bull market. Now, let me just go ahead and get out of here for a minute. Let's just take a look real quickly of the Dow Jones currently. And you can see we're having a little pullback here. All right, and this is that trend line I had on the chart earlier. And so we're still kind of moving up, all right? And all the indexes, the other indexes like the NASDAQ and the S&P are very similar. They're still technically in an uptrend. So that's the bigger picture. Are we overextended on this uptrend? Yes. Okay. But you know what? markets can get overextended and go further and longer than we anticipate or what seems logical. That's one thing I've learned in my 30 years of doing this is you can't guess too much on what the direction of the market is. You have to more or less follow it, okay? So in any case, the trend is still up. We're having a pullback. It's not enough yet to cause a problem, but that's where we are. All right, so I kind of like to share that. The other thing I want to jump into real quick before we get to individual stocks is Bitcoin. This has kind of been on a lot of people's minds, so I just kind of wanted to give a quick analysis on the Bitcoin here. All right, we're kind of at an interesting area here. I don't know if you follow Fibonacci or fair value gaps, but we had actually a bearish fair value gap here. All right, the market went up there, made one more high, and then quickly retreated, okay, after that. And now this could be acting as a resistance level going forward. So we're keeping an eye on that. We have a couple of big fair value gaps down here, okay, further down into a retracement target zone. All right, so to make a quick summary here, we're seeing if this and these points here, which have a long wick candle here, are they areas of a bottom, okay? Usually that is an indication of some sort of bottom. We did hit the retracement zone, but until we start moving up, let's just say we got to get past this level here, it's pretty difficult to say if the correction is over or not. So I'd like to see a high breakout of at least here, then we have higher lows, and that's at least a good sign. If it drops back into here, this is a buy zone, because no matter what happens, whether it goes up or drops back into the buy zone, after that, we should make new highs. And our calculated highs on Bitcoin are between 123,195 to around 144,738. So that will be a significant top for Bitcoin when it reaches that area. Now, that doesn't mean Bitcoin can't return in a few years and make even higher highs. But once we reach that top, then that is an area where I personally would take profits, because I think unless you're going to be a long-term holder, you'll have a year or so of maybe two of a sell-off in Bitcoin. So that's kind of where we're looking to take some profits. But it is possible to go a little lower, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because you can buy more down here. Or if you're not in it yet, that may give you an opportunity, or you could trickle in a little now and save a little to see if it goes into the buy zone. I'll leave that up to you and your financial advisor if you're interested in that. So Bitcoin, eventually more highs coming, I think, in 2025 sometime, but we may have a little bit of a pullback, so I can't really be too specific at this time of when we'll reach that target, but we should get there. It could be at the end of 2025, could be real quick if it has a bottom already in and we have an uptrend in place. So we'll have to keep an eye on that further. But I'd like to give an update on that just for you guys. All right, so let's get into stocks here. Let me scroll up to the top. Thomas, how are you? We'll take a look at yours first. PG's thinking about long. Great. Okay, PGEN. That helps me know what you're thinking there, Thomas. So that's a good thing. All right. Okay, I can see why you're thinking long, but I think you're chasing the market if you get in up here. One of my rules in fear of missing out, have you all heard of that? The FOMO, fear of missing out. That is a big deal in the markets. And the problem with it is that the markets have a great way of being seductive and sucking you in at the wrong time. And fear of missing out is the emotions that are created by that market doing that. So it looks to me like, we had a decent entry back here. So we're a little bit, it's a penny stock. So, I mean, this was at $1.40 and now it's at 194. We got probably more highs coming. My only issue is we've got a little bit of red over here. Let me just back up real quick. What you're looking at here are three charts on different time frames: 60, daily, and the weekly. And then our software is loaded on all three charts, and it's all the same symbol, as you can see here. So the idea is it's called multiple time frame analysis using our software. And so you read it from left to right. So on the left side, you've got bearishness entering the market, which is exampled by this pullback, slight pullback. Again, I don't think at this particular point, if it makes another high, which it probably will do, that's not a point. Actually, the trend line on this would have been drawn here. But it also is possible to pull back to a fib retracement before it goes higher. We may see that here. So let me just draw in where I think this thing is going to pull back. And it could pull back to $1.74 to 148. So the way I would trade is I would wait for the pullback and buy it in here. All right. And if I'm wrong and it goes up and makes another high, well, then I'll have to redraw these. And then that will be the time to wait for the pullback again. So I'm not a market chaser, but I get it. Let me take a look at the long-term charts and see, we did break an area of support here. So I think a long position looks good. I would just try to do the timing a little better. Okay. So let's put this I would put this on a watch list right now. But, if you're a long-term looker at this and you wanted to go in now, then you put your stop, below this retracement level, and that should keep you in. But, that's a decent pullback considering it's such a cheap stock. All right, good. Thank you. So that's basically I would wait on that. All right. We got a lot of folks here. All right. So let's see. Al, how are you doing? BSEM. BSEM. All right, so let's see how this one's doing. All right, I assume you're thinking about a long trade on this one. So again, reading left from right, we've got a red owl after a fairly kind of big run up. We haven't loaded yet on the daily chart yet, or on the 60-minute chart yet. So that data is kind of slow for some reason. All right, so let's focus on and wait for that data to load. Let's focus on the daily and the weekly. So you've got a green PTF here. That's a good sign. A little bit of a red owl. You might want to wait for the owl to turn green, indicating the momentum is reversed back to the upside. You've got kind of a bracketed channeling market here. You've almost can draw a trend line like this and like this for a wedge, right? Okay, so you're kind of in the wedge area, so you may want to wait a little bit, but it's definitely bullish on the long-term charts. I'm kind of liking that, and we did get a pullback, so that's good. So Thomas, going back to your stock, this is, if you've gotten up here, then this is an example of waiting for the pullback. You can get a much better price, and you'll be a lot happier if you do. All right, so I think the only thing I would say on this one is let's wait for the owl on the daily chart to turn green, okay? Other than that, I see no problem. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. But it's a no-go. I'm not going to recommend it simply because we have to see more upside pressure return. All right, let's take a look at FLGC and see how that's doing. All right, so this one, we've got a red PTF, green over here, reading left to right. I would put this one on a watch list. I see why you're looking at it because it looks like it's close to a bottom on the weekly chart, so I get that. And I would wait for the shorter term charts to turn around. So that's something we can keep an eye on for next week, okay? So bring that back. All right, thanks, Al. All right, let's see what else we got. Al is back with SMCI. All right, let's take a look at that. All right, questioning a long position. All right, so definitely things have turned bullish on this. We now got green PTFs on all time frames, and we have a jump in the market here as well. All right, so again, let's see what we've got cooking. We've got some liquidity they took out up here. All right, we've got a big move up here. I'm thinking probably you might see another quick high on this, but Again, I hate to be such a Debbie Downer, but the idea is that I think you're chasing the market here as well a little bit. I'd love to get long because I think getting long is the right thing to do. But let's wait for a pullback and try to get in at a better price. Now, if 10 points doesn't mean anything to you and you want to get in now, fine, do it. Just put your stop below the low on the weekly chart. So right here should do. You don't have to do here. You can do right here. Okay, so that's okay because you could get a pullback pretty significant before it goes up. And so if you're going into this long term, I would do it that way. All right. Otherwise, if it's going to be a shorter term stock, I think it's gotten away a little bit too much. And also, too, it's been straight up. You know, markets breathe. So it's time for a breath. Wait for the breath. And let's put this one on a watch list. What's interesting about this, though, is notice that how many stocks have potential here, but are pulling back a little bit, but we see more highs coming. That, to me, shows me that we don't have a market top in yet. There's still a lot of markets looking to go forward, okay? All right, let's see. Constant, how are you? All right, we have lots of long-term gains in all three. Ooh, you gotta love that, of course. All right, so let's take a look at LPX first. All right, so that's due and is in correction mode right now, okay? So that's what you're seeing here. And let's draw in a possible place where this should pull back to. All right. And we're looking at 94 to 77 is the pullback. Now, this has also been going up with the market for the entire time. So let's see what we got cooking there. That's one leg up there. That's a higher owl here. So that looks like a more major wave 3. I think that's pretty accurate. We should get back to that zone and then see a turnaround with one more higher high on that. Okay. So now if you were, basically using trend lines, you'd have a trend line here. And guess what? You've already gone through the trend line. All right. So that can be an exit in itself and then maybe getting back in. So what do you want to do on this? I mean, if you're sitting with long-term gains, you could have tax consequences. So again, you need to check with your financial advisor. If it's sitting in an IRA, you don't have tax consequences. So that changes the dynamics quite a bit. So you got to decide on how you want to handle that. But we are going down. So, right. So if you want to lock in some of those capital gains, that's fine. Also too, we have 3, 4 here. If it was me personally, the only thing that causes me concern is we have bearish divergence here on the weekly chart. This showing a 3 here. That means this could be a 4, 5. This could be a major top, or we could come down a little bit, make one more high, which is kind of what I'm thinking here on a final top for the next time. So I'd probably take some off the table here if it was me personally, and maybe leave a little on in case it makes one more high, unless I have some better use for the money. And it also depends if it's taxable or not. Okay. So that's something you're going to have to talk to your financial advisor, but it is definitely pulling back at this particular point. And don't forget, we're sitting in a market top here anyway. So if it does roll over, this is probably done then. Okay. So keep that in mind. All right. Let's see KMI. Similar thing on this one. Let me just move these indicators down over here. Okay. So on this one, a little different because you have a green PTF. So I'm a little more confident in saying after the pullback, we should get a move back up. So again, this one here is in retracement mode, 25 to 22. I would hold this one. Okay. I think basically, even if it gets here, you could buy more here. And I say this with more certainty on this one because this indicator, which has a 75% probability, is indicating more highs. You did not have that on the other one. Okay, so I'd be more apt to hold this one rather than the other one. All right, JCI. And don't forget, I don't know what these companies really do. Okay, I'm looking at it purely as an unbiased form of technical analysis, which actually is good. All right, so this one's still above the trend line. We got a red PTF, but we've had it there for quite some time. We got a red PTF sliver just showing up on the 60-minute chart. So this is kind of pulling up here. I don't have any green PTFs at all, okay, on any of the time frames. So I think what I would do in this one is simply grab a trend line, draw it like that, and you could do the same thing on the weekly chart. And you probably can get away with a couple of them here. And I would do that. And you also have a pyramid here. So I would say use that trend line to exit. Okay. Hopefully that helps you. Okay. All right. And happy Friday to you guys too. All right. So let's see. See what Googie is doing these days. All right. And I think, Giovanni, that's for you. Okay. All right. So Google, same type of thing. All right. No more green PTFs left, but you can draw a beautiful trend line on these. Okay. So you can have this one longer term, and then this one can be drawn shorter term. All right. So actually that should be based off with trend lines, you do not draw them until you have a higher high, right? So this pullback was preceded by a higher high. So you can use this point and this point for that. You cannot use this point because you don't have a higher high yet. So technically we breached the shorter term trend line, right? We've got red here, bearish divergence here. So probably in the midst of a pullback at some point, like right now. But at this particular point, let's see what we got cooking long term on this. And we'll open that baby up. So one of the key things I'm looking at here is divergence. And we've got it here. We do not have it here. Okay. So that's kind of indicating that on this run here to here, we're probably getting close to a pullback. Now, that doesn't mean it can't make another high before it pulls back. But again, I think, the fact that the overall market is sitting at a top, and I think a bear market's coming by the end of the year, maybe 2026, it'll be here. But, you got to be careful here. All right. So I don't know how much profits you got in here, but lightening up on some of these when they break trend lines and things like that is not necessarily a bad idea. Again, see your financial advisor for what his intentions are on those for you. Okay. All right. INTU. Everybody's got huge gains. And you don't want to lose them because in a bear market, it'll take them all back. All right. So let's take a look here. All right. There's many people that follow other forms of analysis. Harry Dent, for example, does population statistics and all that kind of stuff. And he feels we're at a major top, but he has felt that for quite some time. So you got to take everything a little bit with a grain of salt, but we are sitting in a major top area. I think Bob Prechter had a chart out where he was indicating we were near a major top too. And he has a top forecasted, I think, between 2025 and 2026, which is kind of what I think as well. All right. So, are these possibly due for a big correction? Sure. Okay. But if we look at INTU, we have green PTFs and indicating more highs. So after a pullback, we should make a more high. So when I see the green PTFs on the long time frame and even in the middle one, then that gives me a little more confidence to stay with the market, stay with the stock. Okay. So where is this possibly going? Well, it's very volatile stock, first of all. So you can't have your stops too close. But if we draw a fib retracement, we're entering it now. So we could go down to 490. Okay. But we may not. We may turn around and go higher. This came down into the target zone already. So maybe that will hold. Maybe it'll take that out again. So, it's kind of interesting. All right. The only thing here to be careful of course, is the fact of, if you're a trend line person, you would have been out already on this. Okay. Obviously, right? Okay. Even long-term charts. So that's something to take into note. But you're in that target area. So we could see a reversal. We should get more highs eventually on that, but you may have a little more pain before it turns around. Okay. Hopefully that will help you. Okay. All right. So, there that is. All right. So, again, PTFs are pretty 75% accuracy, saying more highs. So let's see what happens with that. I probably put my stop to get out altogether somewhere under this fib area in case it doesn't rebound. All right. Let's keep going here. All right. ACHR. And Al's questioning a long trade on this. All right. So green PTF, I'd wait for the pullback, Al. Okay. It's run up a little bit too much. If you'd asked me, back in this area when we broke this level here, if I should go long, I'd say yes, because a pyramid just formed. But now, you've had this pyramid stopped up, so you might be in a correction area first. So keep that one for a possibility. All right, ADBT. Let's see how that one's looking. All right, so on this one here, we've got a nice move up here. Let's take a look and see how this move up is in relation to the overall market. Okay, we only go back to 19 on this stock, so not a big one, but okay. So we've had some bottoming. We've got a green here. We've taken out some levels here that I like, and we have a green pyramid there. So that's a good sign. All right, we've got green here, a little bit of red coming in. So I think it's probably pulling back a tidbit here. But if you want to take a long-term trade, you could do that. And you'd have to put your stop way under here. So the problem with that is that's a 50% away from the current prices. But it's pretty volatile. So, I mean, that would be the only way I would think you could safely stay into this stock. Of course, you could go in and draw a trend line and get out of the trend line. I think it's too far gone here. I would wait for a pullback at this point. Okay. Just simply because you can't put your stop anywhere meaning unless you've already had so many pyramids in a row. So you're not going to just jump in here. You're a little late on that one. Okay. Let's take a look at BCRX. And this one here. All right, good. We got green over there. This one's been around for quite a while. All right, let's see what we got. Again, let's see how many pyramids. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on this entire move up. After the retracement, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. It's too late. Okay, no go on that one. All right. Thanks, Al. All right, Janice, CI. Let's take a look at CI here. Ooh, good turnout today. Great to have everybody here. All right, give us a like. YouTube likes that when you do that. All right, so we got a red. Good morning, some picks. Okay, so we got a red PTF on the daily chart. So that negates a long position right there. So that's kind of indicating that, we've had a pullback already, but the pullback doesn't seem to be done quite yet. So maybe one more low. We've also got a lot of liquidity probably sitting out here. They may take that out. They tend to like to do that. And what that just means is there's a lot of stops sitting here, a lot of activity. There's stops to get out of long positions and there's stops to go short. So that creates business, and institutions like to create business and also suck up those shares before it gets driven in the direction they think it's going to go. So, that's a little concerning. So probably at this point, I don't think I would do anything with that. Unfortunately, it's still slightly bullish, so it hasn't rolled over short yet, but it may do so real soon. Okay. So I don't think I would go either way on that. Dell. All right. Dell is one that we found in the financial, in the Moore report for a stock pick last week. So I'm liking Dell right now. We have no red PTFs. We have a green one here. We've had a nice ABC retracement, I think, completed on the weekly chart. It's funny you brought this one up because I just found this one. There's what I think is the wave 4 bottom. So 3, we still got a pyramid here that's formed fairly recently. However, all right, green here. So, you know, I kind of like it. All right. The only problem with it now is this pyramid that's formed since my recommendation. But, you know, keep the stop under there. You should be fine on that. So for right now, I'm not going to recommend it because of the new pyramid that's formed on the weekly, but it looks pretty good. Let's wait for a pullback again and then another surge forward. So I would put this on the hold list for right now, but it was on our recommended list recently. Okay. So I liked it then. I still like it. I just want a little more verification before recommending it at this point. All right, let's take a look at DRS. All right, so this is pulling back. Red PTFs on the 60 and the daily indicate more lows are coming. New stock, all right, brand new. So, you know, looks like it came out in what, end of 2022, if my data is correct. All right, so any trend lines would have been broken by now, okay? So that's kind of interesting. So if this is not a major change in trend, but instead a pullback, probably can expect this pullback, all right, to go to 27.66 to 21, and we're at 29. On these retracements, you'll see a bunch of different colored lines. These two blue lines here, the space in between is a zone, and we call that the high probability retracement zone. And 70% of the time, retracements reach there. 15% of the time, they're shallow, and they're in the shallow zone already. And these are the hardest to trade because, you know, 15% is not a very viable number in trading to take advantage of. So you kind of wanted to get into that 70% before thinking about a trade. But what happens is sometimes as you're waiting, it does this and you miss the trade. All right. Stinks when that happens, but that's trading sometimes. So you got to make a decision on this. So if you had a lot of money to put in, maybe put 15% of it in here. All right. And put maybe some more in here. And then the other 50% is that it goes deeper. Okay. All right. So I'm going to let you decide how you want to do that, but I would not go into it because these are red here and these are red here. So the chances of it getting to the 70% area is very high. And at that point, then it may be a decent buy, but there sure isn't enough history to know, okay, from a longer standpoint. All right. So let me see here. Alexander, good to have you back, Alexander. All right, CART, C-A-R-T. All right, so you're long CART, and that's a good one to be long on right now. I don't know where you got in. I don't know what your profit situation is, but notice the PTFs have turned from very bullishness now to neutral. Okay, that's one thing to note. We're getting some, you know, if you draw a trend line, okay, you can have it right there. You've got pyramids down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pyramids on this leg up alone. All right, so that's kind of an indication that we're getting mature on the trend, I guess is a good way of saying it. This is a very bullish owl, though, still left on the weekly. So I would stay with it as long as you can. But again, watch the trend lines, okay? Because you do have bearish divergence from here to here and from here to here. So I guess what I'm saying, it's looking toppy. Doesn't mean it can't make one more high, but I wouldn't want to stick around too much if it starts moving back down. Okay. And I think it's in the process of doing that. But it certainly has not broken any trend lines yet. I mean, you could even draw a super short one here. Look at this. Okay. And use that one. All right. TTD, watching that one. All right, I'm going to do a couple more, and then that's going to be it for today because I like to keep these about a half an hour. And guess what? I got to start day trading the NASDAQ next. All right, so we got a red PTF here. Don't do anything with this, okay? Especially since it looks like a huge gap down. I guess that's correct on the data. I haven't really looked at the news on this or anything of that nature, but I wouldn't touch it, okay? If you're looking for a rebound trade, not worth it, okay? All right, Terry, let's do a couple, do yours here, MU. Let's get into that. Take a look at Micron Technologies. And I don't know if you want to go long or short on it, but it's had a nice pullback, green over here. Still a little bit of a red owl on the weekly. Okay, and that is the highest owl there. So let's take a look here. You'll notice I draw my trend lines a little bit differently than other people. I usually try to anchor them on the bottom of 2 and 3. So we've hit the target zone. That's great. That's what we want to do. All right, we may have a double bottom here. Love that. Had a little gap up here. We'll have to see how that closes. That could be a fair value gap there, which is bullish. So I'm kind of liking that. If you wanted to wait for a green owl over here, that would be fine. All right. We're kind of like, but you got to be a little careful. I mean, you can almost draw a pennant like this. So check that out. You can almost draw a pennant like that on the long-term chart. So you're kind of in this messy area here. And messy areas can be difficult because it could remain in the messy area for a while. And that kind of just, you know, keeps your money kind of like, okay, there, but not making you any money, right? So your return on investment goes down because of the time factor. But in any case, you got a bearish pyramid here as well. And it's forming in the channel. So that doesn't have, to me, as much validity as one that forms during a push-up. So at this particular point, I think I would wait a little bit longer. Let's see what the other charts are showing. This certainly is bullish here on this 60-minute. So we could get some breaking out here. I think probably this is also, we'll see if that turns red there. I would wait for the breakout, Terry. Let's get it. Let's get a breakout above here. Okay, so I'd wait another 10 points. And if that breaks out, then it should break the high here and keep going. So waiting an extra 10 points to make maybe 70 might not be a bad idea in case it takes one more dip to the downside. All right, if you wanted to go in now, you could and put your stop under here. That's fine. Or if you wanted to go in now with an option, nothing wrong with that. Make your option at least 6 months out. And don't, of course, the risk control with options is only buy enough so your risk is no more than 2% of your account size. All right, Gene's back with giving us a like today. And I think that's it, okay? So good time, all right? People are asking about TradingView. Yeah, I like TradingView too. We are considering programming our software for TradingView, okay? So we're thinking about that. I'd like to reach out. I'm going to have Gene reach out to our database and find out who's really interested in it. A lot of people like to kick the tires when it comes to time to drive the car. They don't. So it costs a considerable amount of money to program for these platforms. And before I spend that, I want to make sure people want it in terms of actually laying down money, because it won't be free. Okay, we'll program for it, but you'll have to buy a license for it from us. So Gene will send out an email. You guys get back to us with an honest answer, and we'll take it from there. Okay, if you already own our software, it'll be and you want to use it instead of the platform you're using it now, then we charge you a conversion fee, all right, which is the platinum fee, okay? So keep that in mind. You'd have to pay for that. If you want a second license, and let's say you're using Ninja and you want to use TradingView too, then you'd have to purchase a separate second license. And that would be discounted from the normal license and a possibility, okay? So, but we need to see what kind of demand there is. I'm not going to spend the money on this thing if there's no demand. right? I mean, why do that? So we want to make sure there's enough people interested in it. One or two ain't going to do it. Okay. So we need to have a lot more than that. All right. So we'll send that email out and see what kind of response. But I do have a programmer for that. So I'm ready to go on it. But again, it's a factor of who really wants it. All right. So let's see what we got here. Stuart, you have an awesome week as well. Thank you. All right. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. All right. So that's it for today. I'm going to head back over to the NASDAQ and see what's cooking. Let's just bring that up real quick and see what's cooking on the NASDAQ here. All right. We've got a lot of, okay, kind of a little messy market right now. We hit this fair value gap, multiple time frame fair value gap here, had a nice scalp there. Trend's a little wishy-washy right now. We had a big move down this morning. If you caught that, you're already on the golf course. Okay, but otherwise you're going to be stuck in this, and we may get one more move to the downside from this. It looks like that's what's going to happen according to the PTF. But if you read left to right, we may get one more move up a little bit above the 10. Oh, that's still in the stock. Why is that still in there? Okay, hold on one second. All right, there it is. All right, so we're kind of coming down here. So yeah, this is a green PTF. So looks like we're going to head back up unless that PTF changes. So I'd be just staying out of this market right now. Scalping only for right now. All right, that is it. So we'll see you guys next week, okay, Friday. Thanks so much. Have a great week.